It's a good question. Again, the previous series that India won, important from both an India's perspective and an Australian perspective, insofar as a little bit of the mind games that will go into the pre-series. But for all that, those games are past. Those players are gone, and the current players we have, both in the Australian side and the Indian side, they're at a stage of their careers where they all want to perform, because I looked at the ages, and India has got some ageing players in that side, notably Rohit, who's 37, and Kohli's 35. Ashwin, if he tours, he's 37. And you look at the Australian side, there's only one or two players who are under 30. So I think this series is just about this series, which is an obvious thing to say, but it's just about this series. And so it'll be very much a battle again between the very good pace bowling attacks of both sides and how well the top order players of both sides can deal with the ball that will bounce, the ball that will seam, the ball that will probably swing a little bit more in the day-night games in Adelaide. And of course, we're starting in Perth, which is again like Brisbane used to be, a faster and pacier and bouncier wicket. And coming to Brisbane in the third test in December, that wicket will be a little bit different. And I think when I look back on the previous series, Australia always likes to start on a wicket that's got some pace and bounce, and that's why Brisbane was always a very hard place to play for or play in for visiting sides. It's now the third test, so that makes it a little bit different. But in the end, both teams, quality players, quality batting, quality bowling. I think that's why Australia, since losing to India in the last series, the pace bowling attack with Lyons, backed up now by Cameron Green or Mitch Marsh, is just a really, really powerful bowling lineup. So India's top order, Jaiswal, Sharma himself, Kohli, possibly Rahane, Iyer, they've got to bat really well. They've got to bat really well to establish totals, and then the likes of Bumrah, Shami, Siraj, etc., will come into their own. Yeah, look, just the same as I was saying before, that the reason why Australia plays well at home is they do bat well, they understand their conditions. But that lineup of Cummins, Stark, Hazlewood, backed up by Lyons, is just one of the all-time best attacks, all-round attacks that world cricket's seen, I think. And albeit that Stark's 35, Hazlewood's 33, I think, and Cummins is 30. It's a 5-test series, and so if India can not only bat well, but bat for long periods of time, then it will test the physical capacities of that Australian bowling attack, and therein potentially lies a little bit of a key to how India can look at winning the series. Yeah, look, it's an interesting question, and I think, with Joe Shah now being installed at the head of the ICC, I think it really is important that the ICC make some very, very good long-term decisions for the game. And so, yes, we see a proliferation of T20 leagues, T10 leagues, hundreds, and so on. And the reality is that is the future of the game. There's no doubt about that the young children that we're speaking here today will be inspired by and have a real love for playing that short form of the game. However, the game is built on Test cricket. That's the true fabric of the game. And so for the ICC to make some good decisions, I think, one, they have to be very, very mindful of how many leagues they approve and sanction, which means by doing that, it then will limit the number of leagues that players are drawn to, for a start. And it also means that there will be sufficient monies that can go back into the grassroots game, no matter what the country. But the other key decision, I think, is Test cricket's important, really important. we've got the proliferation of the short format game. We need to keep the transition game, which is the one-day game. It's too difficult, I think, for players to be able to play quality cricket with only two formats, meaning a short format and a long format. We need that intervening, that transition format of 50 over cricket. And I think that's a really, really important decision that ICC will need to make in the near future. Not sure on that one. Look, I think what happens now with T20 cricket, the leagues, the ownership, the money, the fans, it demands results. It demands results. And even though that was still the case back in 2008, 2009, I think now that's been elevated to another level. And so from a coach's perspective, I think it becomes very, very hard work to be able to maintain a role within one club. And I guess we see that in EPL as an example, in English Premier League, that coaches move. They're not retained very long. They get sacked midway through a season because they're not winning. And I think that's what IPL cricket's doing, that's what T20 formats are doing, that's what T10 leagues are doing, is demanding results of players and of teams. And if they're not coming, then coaches are the first to go.